Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Through My Eyes, A Life with MS. You are listening to Lauren Parrott on the MS&Me Radio Network. We are sponsored and powered by the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network 24/7 internationally. This show is going to be about how to handle a situation when someone says that you can't do something. I'm really hot right now because hot meaning upset. I'm very upset because something happened to me tonight, and I'm going to talk about the situation, and I'm going to actually talk about a couple different situations, and then I'm going to give a solution to this problem because it is an issue. It is something that I've been battling with my MS for ever since I've had it pretty much, and I think that there is something that I can do about it. I can be proactive to make things better, but it's very, very difficult for me because of my personality. I am very sensitive and I am not confrontational whatsoever, so it's really hard for me to speak my mind. But let me explain to you what happened to sort of give you a perspective of what happened and how I handled it. Okay, so I just got back from a movie. It was actually a Christmas party that I had with my coworkers, and it was wonderful. It was an absolutely wonderful experience because my the president of our organization, he rented out an entire movie theater, and we got to it. It was a movie theater where there was a bowling alley, and there was a pool table, and we had food. We had there was a taco bar where we could make our own tacos, and then he told us, he said, okay, now before the movie, he said, you can go downstairs and order whatever you want, like popcorn or snacks or drinks, order whatever you want. And it's paid for by the company we work for. And I was like, oh my God, it was one of the nicest experiences I've ever had, like at work. It was a really special celebration, a holiday celebration. We were all together. It was really nice. But what happened was, after we had carpooled, and one of my girlfriends, her car, her battery died. So she needed us to jump her car because, or I don't know how you call it, with jumper cables, and so we were like, all right. So we pulled around and it wasn't happening. So what we had to do was she had to put her car in neutral, and then we were going to push her car because we needed more space to have room for the jumper cables between her car and my other coworker's car. So we had to physically just push her car away from the wall a little bit. Well, one of my coworkers said, he was like, Lauren, he said, don't worry about it. We can handle this. He said something to the effect of, like, he made me feel anyway that I can't or I shouldn't do that because of my MS. Like, he said, like, we all love you. Like, don't worry about it. I I don't know, like, now that I'm saying out loud, I do feel really bad about it, but because he was being sincerely concerned for me, like he was watching out for my health, and for my situation because I'm living with multiple sclerosis. But at the same time, I was kind of like, how dare you tell me what I can or cannot do? And I was actually I was angry. I was really upset. And I've been living with multiple sclerosis for 17 years. And I know the things that I can do and the things that I can't do. For the most part, I mean, as you know, like everything is different and every day is different and whatever, but it was really cold outside, and I happen to do well when it's cold outside. And all I had to do, there were like 5 of us, and all I had to do was push the car a little bit. So it wasn't going to exert much energy for me, and I was stationary. I wasn't like moving or walking or anything like that. So I'm like, well, this won't be too difficult because it's a group effort. So I know that he really was being sincere. He's a nice guy, but at the same time, like I said, I was just, it really upset me because I was like, don't you dare tell me not to do something because I know that I can do this. But what I did when I came home, I said, oh, well, I said, this is perfect for a show for the MS&Me radio network because I am pretty sure that a lot of you can relate to what I'm saying. So what I did was I went online and I looked up how other people feel in a situation like this. How do people feel that don't have a disability? How do they feel when they're with someone who does have a challenge? And I read this and I said, okay, well, this is pretty much perfect. So what I found online, it says some people tell us we can't do something because they are afraid of what will happen if we try. Like your own fear isn't enough. The people who love you have to add their fear to the cauldron. But we don't usually hear, I'm afraid for you. We hear, I don't believe in you. So like he was saying, oh, don't worry about it. When he really meant, like, you might screw this up. You might cause everyone else harm if you try. But like that's what I heard. But he really was saying, I'm afraid for you. And it continues, it says, and because this is our friend or family member speaking, we believe them. And it says, don't. Let them keep their fears, and you work on overcoming yours. So that was kind of a big pill for me to swallow, even though I know it's true. Like, I know that other people, I understand because they are, they're looking out for me, and of course they're looking out for themselves too, like they don't want anything bad to happen to me, and they don't want anything bad to happen to them or anybody else around. So, it's just a very difficult situation. And so what happened tonight was when he said, like, don't worry, Lauren, you shouldn't do this. I shut down. I became silent, not just at that moment, but for the rest of the night, which was for like 2 hours. I was silent, which is very unlike me because I'm a very talkative person. But I was like, I had anger like anger inside of me. I just wanted to scream. I was really upset. Like, how dare you tell me I can't do that when I know that I can? But I didn't have the guts to say anything. So that is something I have to work on. It definitely is something I have to work on, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but I'm going to tell you about a couple other stories that happened to me with family, because again, I am so fortunate and I am so lucky that I have I have so many family members who love me and care about me, and I have friends and coworkers that love me and care about me, and they all want the best for me, and I am so appreciative and I am so grateful, and I feel the same way for them too. I absolutely love my family and my coworkers, and I would do anything for them. So, I know how they feel because I feel the same way in return. But I'm the only one who's living with a challenge. Well, a physical challenge. I should say I'm the only one living with an autoimmune disease. Now, I do have family members and friends that are living with other challenges that I am very, very much, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I am very understanding and very accepting, of course, and very sensitive and always willing to help. But, oh gosh, that's a whole different show. Anyways, I want to tell you about these stories, a couple stories where I felt the same way. So, again, this was with my family, and I was at a bar crawl, and I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I was on a bar crawl with my family, and my one family member, every time we were at a bar, and we probably went to I don't know, maybe 6 different bars, and every time we were at a bar, she's like, "Lauren, come here, I got you a chair. Lauren, come here, I got you a chair. Come here, sit down, Lauren, sit down. And I wanted to be like, oh my God, I am fine. I don't need a chair at the moment. You know what I mean? And it's the type of thing where I know that she absolutely loves me, and I'm so grateful. But if I have to sit down, I will sit down. Like, I don't need a chair 24 hours a day. Do you know what I'm saying? I listen to my body, and so when I need something, I take care of it myself. Like, even the car today, if I knew that I couldn't, if it was going to be difficult for me, I would have backed off. I would have said, okay, you guys, why don't you do this? I'm going to stand back because I feel weak or whatever. I always, because I know my body more than anybody else, but they don't know my body. They don't know what's going to happen. So I understand that, but it's frustrating. So on this bar crawl, I didn't say like, oh, you know what, don't worry about it. If I need a chair, I'll find one and I'll sit down. I'll tell you. I should have said that. I should have, but I didn't. And I was getting really upset about it. But I just let it go because we were having a really good time, and I didn't want to cause any trouble, especially when someone is trying to help me. But it's very difficult. It's really hard for me. And I want to tell you one more story. So again, I was with my family, and this was over the summer. And we were outside. We were actually at my cousin's house, which is right on the water. It's really beautiful. And we were drinking, and I was with my family, so that's like the safest. Whenever I'm in a situation with my family, I always feel incredibly safe because I know that I have several people who are there for me no matter what. Not just me. I mean, we're all there for each other. But if there was a time for me to be vulnerable, it would be with my family because I know that they're going to help me if I need it. However, this one experience, we were out on the water and we were on a pontoon boat, and then we went to a sandbar and we were drinking alcohol. We had a couple different drinks, and so like people who are taking medications, we're really not supposed to. We can drink in moderation. Well, like when I'm with my family, I might drink a little bit more than moderation, which is fine because I'm with my family, and I really can't drink too much because I get drunk so fast. So it's not even that I have that much to drink. It's just that when I have alcohol, my symptoms get worse. So what happened was most of my cousins who are my age, they went into a speedboat, and they weren't even driving it. They were just like dancing and like partying on this boat. And my one cousin, she said, Lauren, she said, I'm going to step in. My mom wasn't there, so she's like, I'm going to step in as your mother, and I'm going to tell you to stay on the pontoon boat with me. Instead of going on the speedboat, not that it was moving, but it was smaller, and she didn't want me to, I'm sure she was concerned for me. She was concerned for my health. She didn't want me to fall, I'm sure. She didn't want me to fall in the water. She didn't want, I mean, who knows what could have happened. I mean, I know my body and I know my alcohol tolerance, so I know that I would have been fine because I wouldn't have had any more alcohol, and I would have just sat on the speedboat with my cousins, and I would have just been, sitting there and dancing and dancing my chair, and having fun with my cousins, but she said, I'm looking out for you. I want you to stay with me. So I did, and I ended up falling asleep on the pontoon boat, which is probably, in retrospect, it was probably the smarter thing to do. But still, that feeling inside where like your blood is boiling, like, don't you dare tell me what I can and cannot do. It's frustrating. But like I said, I shut down and I just listen to what people say. And I don't stand up for myself, which is a huge problem. So, my solution has been, like I said, this may not work for everybody because we're all different, and I'm not going to recommend to everyone else to do what I do, and it's definitely a work in progress because I'm not confrontational, and I shut down and I don't say anything, but I think it's the wrong way to handle a situation. And the solution that I'm working on doing is I think that I need to speak my mind. And I think that I should say, you know what? I may have MS, but I can do this. Please don't assume that I don't have the ability to do this just because I have MS. Just please trust me because I know that I can do this and I've done it before. I should say that. That's something I'm working on. It might take me a while, but I think I will do it. And even situations where people have made fun of me before, like one time I was in grad school, and I was walking to a class, and it was raining outside. And I don't know about anybody else, but I know the rain affects me because of the humidity. And so I tend to, when I was walking, I was tripping a lot, and I had difficulty walking, and so I tripped and I fell, and these girls, I'm sure they were young. It looked to me like they were freshmen, in college. And I was in grad school, so I was way older. And they were laughing so loud. And they were laughing at me because I fell. And I should have said, like, excuse me. I should have stopped them. And I should have said, hey, girls, excuse me. I have multiple sclerosis. I fell because the weather affects my body. I wish I could have done that, but I didn't. I I just like sat there for a minute, and eventually a girl, a really nice girl, came up to me and said, like, do you need help? Are you okay? And she helped me up, and so I like gave her a hug, and I told her, I said, I have MS, and I and so that's why I'm tripping, and that's why I fell, and she was really super sweet. But I wish I had the guts to tell those other girls. I wish I could have stopped them and said, like, hey, don't laugh at me because this is what I'm dealing with. Now, I have friends that are in wheelchairs, and I have friends that use walkers, and they have told me repeatedly, they've told me, like, I wish that somebody would just ask me what my problem is, and ask me why I'm sitting in a wheelchair, or ask me why I'm using a walker or a cane, instead of just staring, because that is so uncomfortable. And I don't know if any of you have dealt with that, but I know that people have stared at me before, especially when it's hot outside. I definitely have trouble walking, and people have stared at me, and and I know my friends that are in walkers or in wheelchairs, and people that have walkers, people, because they don't know any better. Like, people will just stare, and they'll make assumptions about what's really happening. And so my friends are like, I just wish that people would say something, like, are you okay, or what? So tell me, hi, how are you? Like, why are you in a walker? Because the people who I know anyway are more than willing to share their story, just like I am very willing to share my story, because I would much rather like inform someone and give them valid information, instead of them making cruel, hurtful assumptions. That's just awful. That's really hurtful. And the hardest thing for me is that it's really difficult to do that, because it is my personality, and I have always been this way. I have always been the type to just get really quiet. People have laughed at me. People have made fun of me. I have been ostracized. And this is before I had MS. And so now, then I got MS. And so now it happens in a different way. And because of my personality, I always do the same thing. I shut down, and I'm quiet, and I don't say anything. And I need to work on standing up for myself, because I know that is really important to do. And my one coworker, she she stands up for herself very, very much. She is very outspoken, and she will not take crap from anybody. And I told her, I said, I wish I had a hint of that, because I'm so sensitive. But it's definitely something that I plan on working on. But it's really hard for me. And I was like, well, I really need to do, like, I have to find articles. I have to read. It's like a personal growth exercise, like I really have to look into this because it's something that is very hard for me, because even still, like, I'm upset about what happened tonight, and I know that I sit right next to my coworker, and so I'm going to see him tomorrow, and he's probably going to say, like, were you okay last night? What happened? And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. And after reading that article, I think I'll say, like, I just want you to know, like, I was kind of hurt, and I was offended when you told me not to try to help, because I know that, I would have been fine, because the weather was good for me. There were a lot of us there, and it would have been fine. So please don't assume that I can't do something, because there are times where I know that I can't do something, and so I don't even try. It's like, I wouldn't try to run a marathon. I wouldn't try to walk a mile, because I know that I probably can't do that. I certainly can't. I certainly can't run at all, so I would never try to run. And walking, I know I certainly can't walk a mile, but I really have to work on. I'm gonna look this up tonight, like, things that you can say when you're trying to defend yourself. So I don't know if this was helpful for anybody. I'm sorry. I had to sort of get this off my chest, because it's difficult. I know that my friends and family, they're looking out for me, and they're afraid of what will happen. And I understand that, but it's very difficult, because I know that I have the capability of doing a lot of things, and if I know I can't do something, I won't even try. And I just want people to understand that. Like, don't worry, if I can't do it, I'm not going to try. So I need to work on it, and so that's something that I am going to look into. And I hope that this was helpful for everybody. I don't know if you feel like I do at all, but I certainly have friends who feel similarly, when they would rather have somebody ask than somebody just stare, or somebody make assumptions. That's just hurtful. And I just need to get the guts to say something. So that is something I'm going to work on. So I hope that you're all doing well, and I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye.